Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and as we all wind down to see out 2024 and bring in the new year, things at Celtic, well, they keep going. Celtic are steamrolling into 2025, not only on the pitch itself, but off the pitch, as many a story has emerged to talk about today. Transfers in, transfers out, all of that happening while we sit 14 points clear at the top of the Premiership table. What a year it's been. Let's talk about that. If you haven't already, please go down below, hit like and subscribe. You guys are unbelievable, by the way. We just crossed the 47,000 subscriber mark like last week, and we're already at 47,000.2 subscribers. You know, 200 more people have subscribed in the space of the last week and a bit. Amazing, honestly, unbelievable, and I cannot thank you enough for the support throughout the entire year. Let's keep going right up until the final whistle tomorrow night. Go down below, hit both of those buttons. We have a huge Celtic transfer talk today with stories coming out of our ears. Some a little bit more believable than others. So let's try and go through them all, shall we? Just before we do that, let's remind ourselves of how the league table wraps up. Moving into Hogmanay, Celtic top of the league by 14 points, 16 wins, 2 draws and 0 losses out of the 18 games played so far in the 2024-25 campaign. You knew fine well I was going to bring that up before we started talking about any transfers. There was no way we were bypassing that, you know? 14 points clear at the new year. The league is as good as done. And I'm not going to be hiding away from saying that. Rangers would have to beat us 10-0 in the next 3 games and then find another 5 points to even come close to us this year. What a season it's been. The football we're playing is delightful. Yesterday against St Johnstone we looked, I would say, back to our best. And we've all got Thursday to look forward to now, where things could be juicy. But nonetheless, 2025, huge year. Let's make it a treble. Maybe, I don't know, too early? Maybe I've started drinking for the bells, I don't know what it is. But yeah, let's move on. We have a good few transfer stories to dance over today. On the penultimate day of 2024, we have some news regarding players who could be leaving Celtic and that could be joining Celtic in the upcoming January transfer window. So let's try and get through them as quickly as we possibly can. We'll start with Stephen Welsh. It looks as though his Celtic exit is imminent. The headlines today in the Daily Record and Scott Burns reporting that Stephen Welsh has been given the green light for his Celtic exit. And that is due to the fact that Celtic are ready to let Stephen Welsh join KV Mechelen on loan. The Belgian side have already tabled a couple of offers to land the Celtic defender, and the champions are set to sanction the move to allow Welsh to get back to playing regular football in the January transfer window. Welsh came in and started in the recent draw against Dundee United, but wasn't even stripped for yesterday's win over St Johnstone. Sus wording of that, Scott. Sus wording of that. This is one that we've been talking about for a while, and to be quite honest, we've been talking about for a couple of years now, the fact that Stephen Welsh might move on, whether it was in permanent capacity or in loan capacity, just to get playing football again, and it looks as though it's finally going to happen. Listen, he started twice, I think, so far this season, and one of them was in a cup game against Falkirk way back in September. So, you know, he's clearly not part of the plans here at Celtic, and I think football and playing football, more in particular here, is so vital at this stage of his career. So a good move for him. I think a good move for Celtic. We still technically have him on the books for now. Whether or not any details emerge about options to buy in this loan deal, we'll need to wait and see, but it looks as though in the next couple of days we will get official confirmation of his move to Belgium, similar to what Jack Henry done a couple of years ago, if you remember that. So yeah, Stephen Welsh, good luck, best of luck. It's been coming, this. So if I take you back to last week, Brendan Rodgers was quoted on BBC Sports Sound talking about how he needs more attackers at the football club. He has got big ambitions and big plans for this transfer window, and it isn't one that I think we're going to go through without much happening. Like last year, we needed a lot and we didn't quite get a lot. And I don't think that'll be the case this year. Remember, we'd done our business so late. Adam Ida came in right at the end, and it was one that we all wondered, would he be good enough? It just felt like a very stagnant window for Celtic. And this window, I think Brendan Rodgers is eager to make it different, especially with the prospect of the the Champions League playoff round looming. He wants quality and depth and in numbers. Brendan Rodgers said this last week on BBC Sports Sound that he needs more. It's not just for now, it's for our future, and we always look to add to our attacking intent, especially in January. Always gives you the opportunity to do that, and I think being able to add goal threats to this team is important. We've done it last January with Nicholas Kuhn and Adam Ida. Have came in and made a big difference for us, especially Adam at that time, because he was a real catalyst for us. So I think that adding goals and creativity is something that we'll hopefully do in this January transfer window. And that's interesting because we have been linked with a couple of players over the past few days that would testify to what Brendan Rodgers has said. Straight away, I think Brendan Rodgers is talking about the wings, and we've heard that one of the priorities for this transfer window is on the left wing. They want to bring in someone to challenge Dyson Maeda for that starting spot and to just generally add depth and quality to that area, because beyond Dyson Maeda, there is no quality on the left-hand side. And I think that's kind of similar to the right-hand side. I wouldn't go as far to say that there's no quality, but really just we're lacking players that match the quality that's offered by Nicholas Kuhn and Dyson Maeda. So we've heard talk about, of course, Michel-Ange Balak-Wisha, who is a player who could be signing in this window that our Celtic will at least look at. But there's other areas where I maybe didn't expect Celtic to go in for, and we're seeing some interesting reports. Because reports from TBR Football suggest that Celtic are looking at Manchester City midfielder James McAtee in this January transfer window. Their report went on to say that they can exclusively confirm that one of Man City's most exciting young midfielders is ready to leave the Etihad Stadium, with clubs like Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Fulham, West Ham and Celtic all looking at him as an option. In addition, there is strong interest from the continent, with the likes of Bayer Leverkusen, RB Leipzig, Borussia Dortmund and Atalanta in pursuit. And with the January transfer window opening in just a few days' time, it looks as though there's a race underway to try and sign James McAtee. Now, according to Graham Bailey, who wrote this report, he's been told that James McAtee has made it clear to Manchester City he wants to leave, and Celtic have been named as one of the interested parties. I know what you're all thinking right now. Surely not. And who is TBR Sports? I can't speak to the legitimacy of this article and how reliable TBR are. I've never used them before on this channel, I don't think, when it's came to discussing transfer rumours. But it does look as though James McAtee is set to leave the club. Now, what I'll say is, straight off the bat, what a fantastic signing that would be. He would be incredible. He'd get right into this Celtic team. I think he could be huge for the future of us, and I would love to see him at the club. Do I see him being at the club? No, I don't. Of course not, because when you look at the teams that are apparently interested here, I think that staying in the Premier League would be a priority for him, or going to play for the likes of a Dortmund, a Leipzig or a Leverkusen would certainly be higher up the list than Celtic. And that's not to put us down, and that's not to, say that Celtic aren't a big club or anything. Of course we are. But I just think that playing European football with one of these sides in Germany is probably a lot more attractive than coming up here and playing in Scotland. So I don't think we will sign James McAtee, but I think it's more interesting being linked with a player like that at this moment in time than anything else, because I wasn't expecting us to look for an attacking midfielder. That's the thing about James McAtee. He is an attacking midfielder, and when it comes to the central midfield areas, we've got probably our strongest area of the squad, haven't we? Rio Hatate, Paulo Bernardo, Arne Engels, Luke McCowan, Callum McGregor. We don't necessarily need central midfielders or attacking midfielders because we've got them in strength. But I think what Brendan Rodgers has made very, very clear here is that he wants quality, and he will sacrifice whatever he needs to and whoever he needs to bring in the right quality. So I think Celtic being linked with a player like James McAtee doesn't strike me as the surprise that it will to some people, because if there's a real quality attacking midfielder out there, somebody who could come in and transform this team, then go for it. And also, some players aren't destined to stay here forever. You've always got to be looking forward. And Brendan Rodgers said that, didn't he? We went through the quotes a moment ago. It's about looking to the future as well. And if players perhaps leave in January, let's say Rio Hatate was to move on, then you've got someone there like James McAtee, or a player of similar quality, to fill that void. So Yeah, I think we will be looking at players like him, and I think we will be looking in those areas, even the ones we don't expect to be necessarily looking at. It's about bringing in quality over quantity, isn't it? And if we can bring in someone who technically should be better than the majority of our players, a product of the Man City Youth Academy, getting minutes for Manchester City, who are one of the biggest and best clubs in the world at the minute, that would be a huge signing for Celtic. I just don't think it will necessarily be him. 22 years of age, 8 appearances across all competitions this season. He's had a couple of loan spells, of course, to the likes of Sheffield United. He's looked at by a lot of clubs because he's a real quality-looking player. So we'll see what happens. I don't expect it to go much further, but the story's out there. You will have seen it. I've had people asking me my opinions on it in the comments. I like it. Celtic explore the option, ask the question, because the worst that can happen is you get told no. And this is why I said Celtic might be looking at James McAtee or similar, because we've also been linked with another couple of central midfield players of real good quality that I necessarily wouldn't have expected to see linked with Celtic in this window. What, number one, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall of Chelsea. His name has been floated around with a potential move to us. And also Carney Chukwuemeka of Chelsea, one of the younger players with a lot of potential and been spoken about very, very highly. Both of them from Chelsea have been linked with Celtic in different places over the past kind of 48 hours. Once again, similar to McAtee, I wouldn't expect them to necessarily come to Celtic, but they'll be on lists perhaps, because Celtic are looking for real quality. Chukwuemeka, valued at 40 million, of course, would not be signing for Celtic, but a loan signing is never out of the question. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, he's went there from Leicester, looks a really good talent, not quite getting the minutes that he wanted. I think there's different deals that could be explored for Celtic as they look to strengthen this side going into Europe, and it's nice to see us linked with what, for Celtic standards, would be big names. Carney Chukwuemeka, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, James McAtee. These are big names. So, yeah, I like where this window is potentially going for Celtic. We just need to wait and see how it unwraps. So just to wrap up today's video, we've got a couple of updates in regards to current Celtic players and their status as Celtic players. First of all, Alex Valley. A lot of people asking the questions, will he be here post-January? Will he be recalled? What will happen? Well, if his Instagram is anything to go by, he expects to see Celtic fans in 2025. He captioned one of his posts with, "See you next year, Celtic fans," or something along that line. So, yeah, Alex Valley looks as though he's staying for now. I've said that for a while, that I don't expect him to go back to Barcelona in January. I think there's a lot of fear around that and kind of scaremongering. I don't know why. He looked great at the weekend. I want to see him stay, and I think he will stay, so hopefully his Instagram post is one to be believed. And finally, Kasper Schmeichel, of course, his contract expires at the end of the year. There was talk of that option to extend it by another year, and he spoke about that to Bold of Denmark, a Danish publication that we have quoted a number of times on this channel. In his interview with Bold, he said that it's something that we'll sit down and talk about at some point in the new year. For now, I'm not thinking that far ahead. My focus is on the here and now, and there's always something big happening at a club like Celtic. I think he'll sign on for another year, to be honest, but we'll just need to wait and see. Right, I've went on long enough, and I've done this very late today, so I'm going to run off and edit. Thank you for watching. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. I'll see you all tomorrow for Hugmanay. And in case I don't see you, or in case you don't watch any more videos, thank you for everything in 2024. Happy New Year when it comes. But I'll be here tomorrow. So, I'll see you all next time.